Okay, I believe we are now live on Facebook and YouTube. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Anthony with Puget Sound Stormwatch. Let's wait for some people to get in here first. Already sent the link out to my other socials, so we are locked in and ready to go. Hey there, Keith. First comment. Welcome aboard. You're in Arlington and you smell rain is coming this way. Well, a lot of people, although we do have rain in the vicinity, and that reminds me, we need to open radar scope too. Almost forgot that. We do have showers in the vicinity, but a lot of it's not reaching the ground because of how dry the air mass is above the ground. It's really humid down here at the surface, as a matter of fact. A lot of dew points in the 60, even the 70-degree range in some spots. But due to the dry air above that and below the monsoonal moisture, a lot of that rainfall is evaporating before it hits the ground. As you guys can see here on the radar, here on the Facebook and YouTube streams. And wow, we have a huge audience starting right away on YouTube. Also, hello there, Zach on Facebook. Welcome in. We got, let's see, we got Julie Rogers heading to the coast tomorrow night for a couple of days, hoping for a favorable forecast. Yeah, after tomorrow, it should be okay for a couple of days. Thanks for the live. Thank you for joining, Sherry. Hello, McKenna. Welcome back. TS97. Hello from South Hill. Can smell the stormy air. Hot, muggy, and cloudy. Robert is saying hello. Leon checking back in. Good evening. Pretty muggy in Washington. Temperature is 82. Dew point is 64. Yeah, that's still quite a sparse temperature dew point spread, which is a good example of why this convection coming in is more elevated. So what goes on at the surface doesn't really affect it as much because the parcel is being lifted well above the ground, not from like 2 meters above the ground if it were surface based. Cindy Connerts, hello, welcome in. Yeah, this is what we're currently looking at right now. You can already see it looks like the marine push has started at Shelton as of 10 minutes ago, gusting to 26 out of the southwest. So expect those temperatures to come crashing down pretty quick. The clouds help keep a cap on a lot of temperatures around the area. That reminds me, I'm not anywhere near ready for this. So I gotta open a couple more tabs real quick because I gotta make sure I have my observations handy as well. So let me get that set up real quick. Yeah, I only have satellite and models open in at the moment. Really hoping for rain, Carla says. Yeah, I'm really hoping for it too because we've been on a 3-week dry streak here to start off August. Only a trace of precipitation at SeaTac. And that is currently tied as the second driest month to date on record for the month of August since 1945 when records began. Okay, so we got current air temperatures here around the area. 78 here at SeaTac. The max temp was 81 degrees. Down here at Tacoma, 76 at the moment. Max temperature of 79. Yes, bring on the rain. You are correct. Best chance of rain is going to be if we get any heavier showers and thunderstorms. That's going to be our most favorable chance of rain right from the get-go. If we have these light showers coming through, again, like you see here on radar, also, this is Mount Rainier. That's not a heavy shower. Yeah, there's a good chance that much of this does not make it to the ground. I've heard a few reports from areas like Buckley, Auburn, and Olympia saying they've got some drops, but that's really about it. And yeah, just all of this, very little of this was predicted today. Yeah, Rhonda, you're right. We need it. Very smoky up here all day. Oh, yeah, that is true. Let's open air quality as well. Let's bring up purple air. I'm missing a lot of tabs here because I kind of, not gonna lie, kind of procrastinated on getting all of this set up until like 10 minutes before. I knew I should have taken my time, but I did not. Okay, so we got Air quality at the moment. We're doing okay for the most part around the Puget Sound. This is using the new US EPA conversion factor. So, got areas of moderate here across the east side, the Skykomish Valley, Snoqualmie Valley, and then you head up to Whatcom County, and ooh, what is going on here? Yeah, just that low level northeasterly flow out of the Fraser River Valley is really not helping matters whatsoever. Air quality does look like it has improved around the immediate Bellingham area, but it's still moderate for the most part. So it's not great, but it's not terrible like it was earlier in some spots. Wow, we have a much better turnout on Facebook. Did you guys checking in on Facebook get your notifications this time around? Because we were having a big issue with that the first time 2 days ago when I had my live stream. People didn't get a notification until over an hour in, which is just not ideal. Terrible. Sparky1 could smell smoke today. Yep, you are not going crazy. That is for real. Gonna open my coffee as well. Not my literal coffee, my figurative coffee. And make sure I post this link in the chat if you guys. Oh, excuse me. You guys would like to help support Puget Sound Stormwatch. That is the best way to do it right there. Is through ko-fi.com or coffee. Let me pin that on Facebook and YouTube real quick. If everyone just tuning in, hello, welcome aboard. Yeah, we'll take a look at some models here very shortly. Also going to post the link to my Discord as well. So hang on just a moment while I get that set up. People on TikTok, go find me on Facebook and YouTube for the full live stream. Stuck on Facebook, driving, link to YouTube. Sure, I'll send you the YouTube link here in just a moment. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Wait, what's coming to Olympia? Showers, possible storms. It would likely be early in the morning tomorrow. Let's make sure this doesn't allocate straight to Discord. Okay, there we go. All right, so post the Discord link as well in the chat, Facebook and YouTube. And then TikTok here in probably a minute or so, we're going to transfer you guys over to Facebook and YouTube because you guys can't see anything that I'm looking at right now unless you head over there. So, yeah, if you guys want to join with 141 other members, I mean, today and tomorrow would be a good time to participate in the discussion. Please rain in Issaquah. Yes, I do agree. Let's look at, like, these are current temperatures. These are not always 100% accurate because some of the stations are in direct sunlight, so they're getting all of the solar radiation. They're not in the shade like they should be. So yeah, here's some max temperatures around the area, and some of these were predicted to be higher, but that cloud cover was really a saving grace for a lot of us. I mean, a lot of us, or else we likely would have saw or seen more widespread 90s up here in the foothills. So, yep, 70s along the water as I predicted, so that came to fruition. Keith says yes. Supposed to be on the beach at Ocean Shores tomorrow morning. Oh boy. Luna says, I wasn't seeing the post, but today I have been. Also, Julie Bradford, let me get you that YouTube link real quick. For anyone on Facebook who wants to go over to YouTube, there's the YouTube link. Just posted it in the chat. All right, TikTok, thank you for joining me on this little like pre-stream. Again, go find me over on Facebook and YouTube at Puget Sound Stormwatch. And join the Discord if you haven't already. Go ahead and apply with the link in the bio. Thank you guys for everything. I will see you guys for the next live stream, which should be tomorrow. I'm taking you guys with me up to Lake Stevens for that potluck. So TikTok, be there or be square, because we got a long drive coming up. And I got some errands to run ahead of time too. So see you guys then. If you guys haven't already, go ahead and follow me. Puget Sound Stormwatch on TikTok. See you guys later. All right. Okay, we got one distraction out of the way. See how many people head over from TikTok. Hey neighbor, hello there, Shellbell. Hello, will we be getting thunder on the Long Beach Peninsula? This round need to medicate dogs if I do. Well, the good thing you asked because we have some new model data we can look at. Let's go check out the 23Z or the 4 p.m. run of the HRRR. It only goes out to 1 a.m. right now, so we have a little bit longer to wait for that. Let's see what the previous model run wants to do. So these have been quite sporadic. The model runs, like the run-to-run agreement, has been pretty poor. So as you guys can see, I'm scrolling through and I'm going through the same time frame, just different model runs of the same model. Hey there, Colleen, welcome in. So this is the most recent one that's in range right now. So the effective time is 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. And we're going through each model run, and you guys see how the consistency is not quite there. So really, this is why I'm saying that anything's in the cards right now. The possibilities of what could happen are endless. And we saw the same thing happen back in July, not once, but twice, when we had those, when we had those other cutoff lows impact us, kind of like this one, where we overperformed in a lot of places. North of SeaTac, though, the second time around was a bust, but area-wide, the one before, I think, was July 16th, right? That one was a crazy overperformance. The models did a very poor job of showing that one. So that's why I got to say there's a lot of possibilities on the table right now. Looking at lightning flash density. Oh, man. Yeah, this was the 12Z earlier, so quite a number of model runs ago. This one had a pretty good lightning signal over the Puget Sound at 7 a.m. tomorrow, but it continues to kind of flip back and forth. So while the lightning flash density signal is not awesome, it's there. And mainly north and west of the Puget Sound, but this doesn't mean that the Puget Sound is not still in play to have thunderstorms anytime between tonight and tomorrow morning. If we go back and look at the mid-level water vapor loop, first I need to take a sip of water and then we'll go into it a little bit further. You think the sun's trying to pop out now at the... Yep, sun's trying to pop out here at the very last moment. So thunderstorms are not a for sure lock for any of us, but they are possible for all of us, if that makes sense. And I can't stress that enough every time I make a forecast like this. Some of you are likely to see thunderstorms, but not all of you. So there's very likely going to be a lot of disappointed people trying to come after me saying that, I lied or my forecast was a bust. But I always have to make it clear that nothing in the weather is a lock. Everything's at play. Mother Nature is undefeated. And she will do whatever she wants, whenever she wants, and however she wants. Flash, flash, boom, boom. Yes, no? Yes, but not for everyone. Like I was just saying. A lot of us on Watch Duty are on alert for tomorrow, and wisely so. Thank you for the reminder, Keith. I gotta pull open the fire weather outlook because it is insane for tomorrow. Let's go to the FEMA region. Let me pull this up on a different monitor real quick, and then I'll show you guys here in just a moment. We got today's thunderstorm outlook. We have a marginal risk of severe weather, which means storms capable of producing damaging hail 1 inch or greater in diameter, and or wind gusts producing 58 plus miles per hour. So there is a 5 to 14% chance of seeing that within 25 miles of a point on this dark green contour down here. Everything else, the light green contour is a general non-severe thunderstorm risk. And this does include the Cascades of Washington and Oregon and the Olympics of Western Washington. I don't know why they put this little connecting point right here. They could have gotten away with just like putting a little circle over here, but I guess that's not how the Storm Prediction Center rolls. Disappointed? No. Who wants new fires? A fireworks show in the sky isn't worth it. Yeah, there's of course different perspectives to look at this. Of course, we can root for thunderstorms as long as we get the rain and not the fires. Oh, we have... It sounded like a new subscriber. For some reason, it doesn't show me subscribers on the notifications anymore on Facebook, but someone did just subscribe. So whoever subscribed, I think I'll see you here in just a moment. There it is. Harold Seberg, thank you for becoming a subscriber on Facebook. Appreciate that. Thank you for the support. A lot. SPC specifically not noting Puget Sound immediate is my personal first seeing that. Yeah, so as long as we get rain with these storms, then I'm all for it. But I think a lot of people now are fine with the bust, right? A lot of people this time of the year with the situation that we're in fire-wise, a lot of people are fine if this does not come to fruition. Am I right? Is there anyone that can agree with me on that? Also forgot to open watch duty too. Yeah, Keith reminded me on that also. So the Sage Creek fire, which was first reported yesterday morning, is approximately 71 acres at the moment. Still going quite active at this time. We do have updates on the King fire and the CC fire as well, which this one was one that flared right back up after being dormant for a while. And a lot of people were confused on whether or not the smoke plume emitted from this was from the Little Giant. But it was not. It was from the CC fire. Over 500 acres on that, and almost 500 acres on the King fire now, here in Kittitas County, which this one was first reported 2 days ago. All right, we got Julie Bradford, again, with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that donation. And Harold Seberg, who just became a subscriber, also sent 50 stars on Facebook. Thank you for that generous donation. What about Port Angeles? Anything with thunderstorms? In play, but not 100% for sure. So nothing in Mother Nature is ever a lock. All right, so if we go look at the newest HRRR model, which goes out to 9 a.m. so far, there's a chance some of these could be thunderstorms, but they could also be heavy showers. And as you see, the Port Angeles area is close to that proximity. It could even have activity start as soon as 5 a.m. if this model does prove to be correct, which this one's been struggling quite a bit. It struggled a lot for those 2 weeks of storms in July, and I mean a lot. It does show this isolated thunderstorm activity anywhere from the Hood Canal all the way up to southern Vancouver Island, including the San Juan Islands, the Strait of Juan de Fuca, Salish Sea area, and possibly over to Snohomish County as well. Crazy Birdman has been a storm watcher, so a tier 2 member on YouTube for 8 months straight. Thank you so much for your continued generosity. Glad to have you. Leon says, yes, I love storms, but now is not the time for a prolific event anywhere. Very well said. Would love rain in Olympia. Yeah, I think a lot of us would like rain, including myself, because I'm going to pull up some stats for you guys real quick from the National Weather Service in Seattle. Gonna go up to August. So this is a pretty cool site you guys can go to. If you want to get to this site, go to weather.gov and then click on the Northwest region here. You'll go to the Seattle, Tacoma, Washington office. Head over to climate and past weather. There's a drop-down menu. You go to local, and then you go to climate graphs and charts. And then you'll see this right off the bat. So you'll see ranges of high temperature records here, normal temperature ranges, and low temperature records, as well as rainfall records and a table with all of this data. And then you have some very specific stats here as well. And the one that I really want to highlight here is the fact that this is the second driest August month to date on record since records began at SeaTac in 1945. That is tied with 8 other years as well. But there is a good shot that we finally snap this dry streak anytime between late tonight and early tomorrow morning. The question is, how will the models perform? Will they do good this time around? Will the third time be the charm? Or will it be 3 straight overperforming busts this summer? Again, so I'm going to a potluck in Lake Stevens with a bunch of other weather enthusiasts and meteorologists around the Western Washington area, and even some people coming in from Canada too. So yes, Harold, I'll check out next Wednesday's forecast as well. Thank you for the reminder on that. So we planned this out at the beginning of this year, like back in January, and it just so happens that we're likely going to have thunderstorms during this potluck tomorrow in this one particular place in Lake Stevens. What are the chances of that, guys? Is that like a needle in the haystack kind of probability or what? Also, SeaTac has its top 20 warmest average high temperature since 1985, which is 79.5. This is 1.3 degrees Fahrenheit above the normal average high. Average temp at SeaTac so far is running 0.2 degrees ahead of schedule. The average high is 68 degrees. So running a little bit warm and quite a bit dry. We should have 0.55 inches of precipitation in the gauge this time of the month so far, but we only have a trace, and a trace does not count as measurable precip. As you guys see down here, 0 measurable days of precip at SeaTac. Let's see where we are. We're about to be through the first 3 weeks as soon as this data is processed tomorrow or today. Sweet. Keith, thank you for becoming a member. Yeah, Keith, you were one of those people that had a gifted membership from Julie. And again, huge shout out to Julie Bradford, everyone, because she donated not only a $20 super chat 2 days ago during the stream, but 30 gifted memberships to people. So Julie Bradford, aka Jaw George T5K here on YouTube, just absolutely incredible. Really, really couldn't thank you enough, truthfully. Keith says anytime. Yep, glad to have you aboard, Keith. Let's actually go to the 18Z European here real quick, and then we're going to go look at 500 millibar heights and winds. Again, 500 millibars is about 18,000 feet up in the atmosphere, above the ground level. But not above sea level, but above ground level. So it changes based on the terrain. So here is the upper level trough. This is a closed low or a cutoff low because it's separated from the main jet stream. And so this is rolling in like a bowling ball into our area. You see, so you see these solid lines like here. These are called isopleths. And in this case, they indicate areas of equal heights in the atmosphere. When they split apart over the area like this, the wind barbs also split. So this creates what's called diffluence, or splitting winds aloft. And that, as a result of that, there is a pressure void in the middle of the splitting winds. So has to pull the air from towards the surface into that void in order to fill it. And that induces lift, aka forcing. And that is going to be our primary trigger mechanism for thunderstorms anytime between late tonight and tomorrow morning. Even into tomorrow afternoon, the farther north you are too. That is also completely at play. Yeah, Julie. Yeah. It's much more pleasant to listen to you than watching the news stations. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Seems a better chance for rain next Wednesday. Yeah, we'll investigate that as well after I go over the synopsis here. Lance is checking in from Cleellum. Hello there. Zach is excited for storms. I gotta reiterate, try not to get your hopes up too much. There is always the chance of a bust. Always. So, if it does perform as expected and we get minimal, if not no fire starts from it, then we can consider this a win. But since we're expecting critical fire weather, which reminds me, we got to go check that out here. So this is today's fire risk. So we have an isolated dry lightning risk across the Olympics and the Cascades, all the way down through Bend, Oregon. Then we have an elevated fire risk down here in southern Oregon, southwest Idaho, much of north and northwestern Nevada, and northeastern California, too. And then tomorrow is just, in more appropriate terms, it's a cluster F, if you know what I'm saying. We got 4 out of 5 colors here on the legend being used here, and I'm thankful we don't have that extremely critical again, because that would be just diabolical for this time of the year. Checking in from South Everett. Hello there, Kylie. Thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate your guys' time very much. So I'll zoom in after to show you guys this a little bit closer at the state level. But the purple up here is the potential for scattered dry thunderstorms. That's hilarious. In another Discord group I'm in, someone literally said cluster F as well. Completely unrelated from that subject. So that is hilarious. Cascade Rail, if you're tuning in, I just got your member request here on Discord, so I'm approving you right now. Yeah, thank you for being a YouTube member. I will give you your supporter badge. That's the reason why I asked if you had subscribed or donated to Puget Sound Stormwatch or supported monetarily so I could give you that custom badge. So thank you very much for your generosity, kind sir. Welcome to the server. Hopefully you enjoy your stay. So the purple up here, scattered dry thunderstorm potential. So across much of the northern Washington Cascades, all the way over to northeast Washington and the northern Idaho Panhandle. So this includes areas like Lake Chelan through Omak, Tonasket, Spokane, Newport, Kettle Falls, Medellin Falls, Sand Point, and I believe the Silverwood theme park is up here as well. This goes down just outside of Coeur d'Alene. This is realistically anywhere within 12 miles of a point. So if you want to stretch this contour out by 12 miles, then that can be your effective radius. Checking in from Lake Stevens. Hello, I'll be up in that area tomorrow for a little bit for a weather enthusiast potluck. So what are the chances, right? Listening while I play NFS World for a bit. Seattle forecast. So, yeah, thunderstorms, while they're not confirmed, there is a pretty good possibility because a synoptic setup like this is what we call one of our classic thunderstorm setups. So the synoptics are there. It's just, do we have enough instability to work with to really have these storms take off? Because we've got the moisture. We're getting subtropical moisture from across the Pacific in combination with monsoonal moisture from the southwest. We're getting plenty of diffluence allowing for that lift. So we're just going to wait for that little short wave or that area where there's a kink in the flow that opens up that diffluence to move into the area to start that rising process, the rising motion, get those updrafts going. We have some instability. I think the instability is going to be the big wild card here. Thank you so much, Darsa, for the donation of 1,000 stars on Facebook. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, we even have a bonus ingredient also called bulk shear. So that allows for updrafts to become more organized. Normally, the updrafts and the downdrafts of a storm choke each other out after a little bit because the updraft is not tilted away from the downdraft. So normally they're neck and neck. But if you tilt one of them away and separate them, get that clean, warm, moist inflow without having that cool rain without, that rain cooled air coming through the downdraft to choke it out. And then you can really get some organized storm activity going. That is a key ingredient to severe weather in areas like the Midwest and the Great Plains. A few miles east of Trafton, Arlington area, it is cloudy and muggy. Yeah, our dew points as well. So these are max temperatures. Let's go look at current temperatures at the moment. We're still well into the 70s and 80s for much of the area, even with the cloud cover. And the cloud cover is acting like an insulator right now. So it's not allowing all of that radiation we just accumulated at the surface to escape back into the atmosphere quite yet. We go look at dew points. This is pretty crazy stuff. So let me filter out everything below 60-degree dew points, just to be sure of it. So really anything 60 plus degrees in the dew point is considered humid around here. And we have a lot of areas into the mid, even the upper 60s here in dew points across much of Western Washington. If this is accurate, 73 degrees for a dew point, that is crazy humid, like absurdly humid for this area. We got dew points in the 60s all across the Bellingham area, all the way down through Eastside King County, across the Kitsap Peninsula, Central and South Puget Sound, and the Southwest interior. So it kind of feels like a Midwest-esque kind of day out there. And with the cloud cover, it's very balmy out there. I'm not going to deny that one bit. Like, that's crazy. The same station that's reading 73 degrees for the dew point, 74-degree temperature. That's only a 1-degree temperature dew point spread. So that relative humidity out there right now is just about 100%, which is diabolical. Cheryl's checking in from Port Townsend. Hello. Good afternoon. Really curious about the Seattle Weather Forecast Office zone forecast now. Flight storm, Seattle South now gone from forecasts in the afternoon package. Not sure AI or new data they are feeling. Well, their primary model that they use is the National Blend of Models Ensemble, or the NBM. I believe they also call it the NDFD as well. At least that's what they call it on Weatherfront. So yeah, it's an ensemble model that takes practically every model that they have access to, and it combines them and then averages them out to a single solution. And while it is very high resolution, it also misses a lot of details too, because it doesn't really factor out those outliers. So sometimes it can overperform or underperform based on what other models are showing. So yeah, this is the next chance of rain and maybe some wind as well as we go into next week too. Someone was bringing this up that a chance of shower showed up in the forecast on Wednesday, August 26th. And that is true. So right now the European wants to bring yet another trough through, but with completely different dynamics this time around. So I think the thunderstorm probability at this moment is pretty low. At least that's what it was showing. Let's just verify that here real quick. And if we look at lightning flash densities, that's a little interesting. If that comes to fruition, do get a pretty decent thunderstorm signal across northwestern Snohomish, central southern Island, and northeast Jefferson counties. Maybe even North Kitsap County here. This would be between 11 p.m. on the 26th and 5 a.m. on the 27th. Let's go back and compare this with previous model runs. And as you guys can see, it's a brand new signal in the 18Z model run of the European. So something we got to monitor real closely. But even then, it's only for like 1 6-hour window. Yeah, Dirk Doppler, Weatherfront. As far as I can see, they officially released an Android app. I don't know if it's still the beta test or if it is the final version, but I'm part of the Weatherfront Discord group, and I follow their updates as well. They just posted that they had a fully functioning Android app finally ready. So they got the PC site. I guess they're working on a PC application as well, just like RadarScope has a standalone application, for example, and that's what I use on my streams here. But they do have a Weatherfront website, an Android app, and an iOS app now. So just about complete. Unfortunately, I do have to get permission from them to use their products. So just for the sake of that and the fact that I monetize my content, I'm not going to show any Weatherfront products in this stream, but I am working on getting permission to do it for the future because I do believe that Weatherfront is the future. Honestly, I've been trying out the free trial of the app, and even though I don't have access to all the features, it's incredible. Like absolutely incredible. One of the best weather apps I've ever used. Even better than RadarScope in my opinion. And I've been using that app for 11 or 12 years now. Yeah, you see, if I can go back far enough, yeah, we did have thunderstorms over Vancouver Island earlier. That really threw me for a loop because I don't think any of the models really picked that up towards the Port Alberni area. Did have a few lightning strikes detected from that. Yeah, just to show you still how relatively dry the air mass is down here at the low levels, let's look at some MEDARs. For example, here at Renton Airport, it's 82 degrees as of 4:53 with a dew point of 58. So the dew point is relatively high, yes. It's not super high, but it is pretty high for standards. But there's still a 24-degree dew point spread, which means that the air mass down towards the surface is still relatively dry, even if it feels humid. You need to do one of two things to decrease that dew point spread. You either increase the dew point or you decrease the temperature. You got to get these two numbers as close to each other as possible to have what's called a saturated air mass. When they're the same, you have 100% relative humidity at the surface. Hey guys, got to start taking more water breaks because I have some serious dry mouth going on right now. Coney Jones, hello from the Skagit. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Yeah, Facebook stream is doing much better than the last time. And so I didn't see any responses to this, but anyone watching on Facebook right now, did you receive a live stream notification today? Because we were having a difficult time with that on Monday. Very difficult time with that. We are near the mountains and we can see Tiger Mountain from our house. Just curious. After the storms in the mountains last weekend, we live in Maple Valley. We were wondering if there's going to be any tonight through midnight or tomorrow morning near or in Maple Valley. Hey there, survivalists. Welcome back in. So again, I gotta make this very clear that while the probability is there for storms, it is not going to be a lock. It's not going to be confirmed. Because the downtrend in the recent European models has been noticeable. At the same time, the European did not do a good job showing that activity off the coast. Like, it really kind of blew it, and then it tried to correct itself in the next model run, but it still did kind of a poor job. Let's go back to that range real quick. Yeah. I think that was earlier in the day. So let's go to 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and check the trends on this. You see, it kind of picked it up just in the wrong location. That was like 8 or 9 model runs ago. And then doing a pretty good job showing this activity over Vancouver Island, but he did kind of miss that spot right there where we did have lightning earlier. In previous model runs, it did pick it up, but in the more recent model runs, it did not pick it up. So even the European, which has a good reputation, can struggle at times. I hope Puget Sound will get something. Kind of want to go east. Coney Jones got a notification. Cindy, thank you for the donation of 200 stars on Facebook. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I'm seeing that the Three Queens fire is going ballistic again today. Got a notification. Oh, geez. Guess it's the stars party now on Facebook. Ken said he did receive a notification. Awesome. Thank you, Ken, for the donation of 100 stars. Thank you, Elizabeth Robertson, for the donation of 100 stars. Really appreciate you guys' generosity. Thank you so much. I'm glad to have you all with me here tonight. Seeing more about the strong El Nino, can you briefly say how that will affect the Pacific Northwest? Yeah, so let's pull up some climatological forecasts real quick. We can look at some of the monthly and seasonal forecasts. Let me make sure I have everything I need access to here real quick. Because the Climate Prediction Center site's a little bit hard to navigate. Like, pretty hard to navigate. Sweet. Thank you, Rashawn Heflin, for becoming a subscriber on Facebook. Let's go monthly prediction 30-day. Okay, there we go. It's the okay, yeah. And you guys see it's pretty outdated. I really wish that they had a more modern look to this site. Let's go check out the seasonal real quick, and let's go to the 2.5 month outlook for now. So this goes out to November, December, and January. This was issued literally yesterday by the Climate Prediction Center. Yeah, thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the kind words. So as you guys can see, we have a pretty strong, likely above normal signal for much of the Pacific Northwest. So the white's equal chances. Near normal is the light gray contour down here. And then these two shades, the kind of yellow and orange shades, these are leaning above normal. So these are still below 50% above expected, but still leaning towards that above average. And then a strong 50 to 60% above signal for 99.5, I'm going to say, percent of Washington state for November, December, and January. Heck, even Alaska is expected to see anywhere between 50 to 60% above the 30-year climatological average, which is 1991 to 2020. So that's for temperature. Precipitation, it's equal or leaning towards below for the most part. So for much of eastern Washington and the North Cascades, we're looking at a 33 to 40% chance of below normal precipitation for November through December through January. And then 40 to 50%, so still just leaning below normal for northeast Washington, the North Idaho Panhandle, and much of northern Montana. But for western Washington, we're looking at right around equal chances. Again, that's for November, December, January. And we can go through different time frames as well. So this is looking at January, February, March of next year. And that very strong above normal signal remains too. All of Washington state and a good portion of Idaho and northern Oregon as well. 50 to 60% chance likelihood of seeing above average temperatures for January, February, March compared to the 30-year climatological average. Definitely a signal of El Nino without a doubt. Precipitation chances are still pretty equal. I think I might have just shown this. No, I did not. Okay. So yeah, December, January, February, November, December, January. Let's go September, October, November. So the next month coming up and the next 3 months, the expected temperature outlook shows, again, much of the Pacific Northwest expecting anywhere from 50 to 60% chances of above average temperatures compared to the 30-year climate average from 1991 to 2020 for the entirety of Washington state, all the way down to Northwest California and all the way over to Western North Dakota. So yeah, exactly as Coney said, not a good forecast for winter, more drought. Now, I'll also pull up the drought monitor here as well, because I think we got a new one a couple of days ago. Not seeing much for updates on Washington though, so I'm just going to pull up the comparison slider and then bring it up to the state level and show you guys a comparison between this week's drought monitor and last week's drought monitor. So yeah, there's a signal you don't want to see also. September, October, November, we are leaning below normal for the precipitation signal for much of Washington state. Even the Puget Sound area is also leaning below normal. See, classic monsoonal signal right down there in the desert Southwest. So monsoons are expected to really ramp up going into the fall time down here with that well above average precipitation signal down there for the desert Southwest. But yeah, the drought monitor. I am seeing some changes, and they're not good changes either. Is end of September too far to see Oregon Pass weather? Specifics, yes. But signals of what it could be, we could go probably dig through the climate models, but they're not always super accurate because of the range. As the range increases, the resolution, which is the like the terrain accuracy, to make it simple, decreases. So as resolution increases, your time frame decreases. That's why we use the high resolution models within a couple of days of an event. So this was the drought outlook for the August 11th update. So we got a moderate drought across much of the Olympic Peninsula and the Kitsap Peninsula. And we got severe drought across north central Washington and a chunk of eastern Washington, including much of the Palouse down here and the Snake River Valley. All of Spokane County, much of Pend Oreille County, really areas Ritzville east and east of the Tri-Cities, with a lot of moderate drought across the area and abnormally dry conditions, but I guess you could say technically not drought conditions across much of western Washington as well. Then we're going to look at the new update that came out 3 days ago. And what you guys are going to notice is that the moderate drought is now extending across much of the north and central Washington Cascades, even down into the North Cascade foothills. And the severe drought has also been extended to the Cascade Crest here of Whatcom and Skagit counties. Other than that, there's no updates to the drought monitor. So the severe was expanded west and the moderate was extended well west. So not good, not what you want to see. Sounds like a winter garden. Yeah. October, November, December. So this is in little 3-month increments. So the October, November, December signal, once again, 50 to 60% above average temperatures expected. Precipitation still for most of eastern Washington and a chunk of northwest Washington here, the interior, leaning below average in the precipitation department. We can look well out into the future. We can go to like March, April, May, for example, where things start to improve a little bit. We're still expecting anywhere between 40 to 50% above average temperatures, but not critical like we were seeing then. So for precipitation, a little better, but still a lot of work to do. We go into June. Everywhere is either equal or above, but not below for the temperature outlook. And then precipitation, that outlook starts to become an issue again, because now we're leaning 40 to 50% below normal for expected precipitation between April, May, and June of next year for much of far eastern Washington. And we could honestly keep going on. Like we could go look at this. Like how crazy this is. This will likely not come to fruition. Like looking any farther out than a few months is already looking out in the fantasy range. Like it likely won't perspire like this, but the fact that this is already a signal is something of concern. The entire Pacific Northwest and much of the western seaboard, the continental United States, is expecting 50 to 60% above normal temperatures. So this is a good indication that El Nino could hang on for yet another year. Is that a lock? No, of course not. Precipitation signal is looking better, though. It's not above or below, but it's right around equal chances. So that is encouraging to see. We can look at the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. We got a couple more options we could look at here. So let's go look at let's look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. So August 27th to 31st. This was issued today. Look at that huge above normal signal. This is 80 to 90%. So that is literally maxing out the chart down here for the desert Southwest. But up here, below normal signal because of all of that upper level troughing expected to come up. So what could bring us cooler and potentially wetter weather is resulting in the signal of below normal temperatures for much of Western Washington and Northwest Oregon. And then near normal for Eastern Washington and leaning about 33 to 40% below for Central Washington and parts of the Cascade Crest. Precipitation signal for, let's see here. Let's go back to the 6 to 10 day. This precipitation signal is above normal for us west of the Cascades and parts of us here over north central Washington as well. This is an encouraging signal. It's not a miracle worker, but the fact that we do have leaning above average for the precipitation outlook for the last 5 days of August is a good sign, possibly a sign of improvement. The 8 to 14 day is about the same. Let's go to the month. So the month of September. Pacific Northwest in its entirety is expected to be anywhere between leaning above average to 50 to 60% above average in the temperature department for September. This outlook was just released by the Climate Prediction Center yesterday. And then in the precipitation department, it's a very, very suspect contour there, but wanted to highlight the below normal signal up here for a good chunk of Washington State for the month of September. Not good. Not good at all. Yeah, that's not what I wanted to see. Global tropics hazards. Quite the textbook El Nino pattern with tropical cyclone development probabilities for the week 2 between August 26th and September 1st. It looks like off the coast of Mexico, south of Baja, is going to be prime time for tropical cyclone development, with additional development expected south of Hawaii and lesser chance, but still a chance farther west out towards areas like the Philippines, Guam, and the Northern Mariana Islands, for example. And then still a pretty good signal for tropical cyclone development going out to the first full week of September as well. So again, just a classic El Nino signature here from the Climate Prediction Center. Hey there, Michael. Welcome in. How's the lightning density map looking for this weekend setup? So it's going to be a while before we have our 0Z model run. That's not going to be out till like almost the 11 tonight. But we do have our 18Z European run. And for the weekend setup, it's not looking even close to as impressive as it was the last couple of days. I see significant downtrend. I think the reason for this is because instability is kind of lacking in the recent models because we have plenty of diffluence, plenty of moisture being advected or transported into the area. You can see it clearly here in mid-level water vapor. Look at all that moisture coming in. Let's see if anything else pops up. Okay, for a second I thought I saw a lightning flash flicker over here, but no, it's just my eyes deceiving me. So this upper level cutoff low off the coast is beginning to develop its negative tilt. So it's getting that northwest to southeast axis, and that is going to give it a bit of extra kick over here on the eastern portion of it, where we have the greatest area of diffluence and the strongest winds aloft. Looking like the winds are mostly going to come out of the south, several tens of thousands feet up, which is okay for thunderstorms, but we really would want it to come out of the southeast. You know, that's what we saw for setups like September 7th, 2019 and August 17th, 2024, to name a few examples. It's all in the tilt. Like Leon said, yeah, trough geometry is a huge deciding factor of what impacts it'll bring. A negative tilt or a northwest to southeast axis is considered a fully matured upper level trough. And so the lightning signal on the European, which this didn't do a really good job earlier, to be honest, off the coast. See, it started to make up for itself in the most recent 18Z run, which started initializing within the last 2 hours or so, and it finished here pretty quick. But it made up for its mistake in the short term. But how will it persevere as we go farther in time? Because you see, if we zoom in a little bit, let's zoom in and examine this a little closer at the state level. See, this was between, because this is now out of date, between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. this morning to afternoon. You see these lightning signals over the mountains? Those never happened. Those never happened. And the lightning signal going between 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. tonight is meager at best for much of the area. There's very small hints of lightning density signals over the Olympics, around the San Juan Islands, up in the Vancouver lower mainland, and over towards North Cascades of Whatcom County and north of Okanagan County here. I think this is around Osoyoos, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, just... And then the signal for 11 p.m. tonight to 5 a.m. has definitely dwindled, so it's too soon to call it a bust. But watch what happens when we go to tomorrow afternoon, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. The North Cascades, Northeast Washington, and the Blue Mountains area really begin to light up. And most of these storms are not expected to produce beneficial precipitation. Sorry, Coney, I missed your question on Facebook. Will smoke clear out tonight? Pretty smoky in Skagit and Whatcom counties. It's probably going to have some trouble clearing out until the shower activity and possible thunderstorms makes its way up. I do notice that the marine push has kicked up, so that might help send some, hopefully all of the smoke back up to the Fraser River Valley. Like the back up to where it came from. And help clear out the air quality around the lower mainland as well, and the Fraser Canyon. Of course, I'm not going to leave out my Canadians, because I know a lot of people from Canada also tune in to these streams. I do see the air quality, to give them credit, it is improving across the Nooksack River Valley, which is one of those protected areas from those low-level winds for the most part. So we are seeing improvements, but we still have a ways to go. Poor air quality over southern Vancouver Island as well. And some areas of moderate here east of the Puget Sound, but much of the air quality around the Puget Sound is still pretty decent. And then still not doing too hot down here in the Columbia River Valley near Wenatchee, and it looks like Spokane is dropping off as well. Yeah, if we check out a graph, it shot up after 2:30. Just went off to the races, and now it's unhealthy out there down near Spokane. Sun is trying to show itself up here. Also, we're getting a slight breeze. Keith, is the breeze onshore or is it offshore? If you can tell. Michael says, SeaTac traffic just switched to south flow in the last hour. Good. Yeah. So we want to see that marine push to help clear out the air west of the Cascades. That's what we want to see. And we want to make sure we turn that flow onshore to help and push that smoke back over the mountains and out of the west side. Unfortunately, what that does too is it kicks up the winds over the east side out of the west and can enhance the fire behavior. Like, look at this. This is not precipitation. That is a fire signature. Like, that is a smoke signature being detected on radar. That is from both the Three Queens and the King fire burning red hot right now. Like, the higher the radar reflectivity, so the darker yellows and the oranges, then the taller the smoke plumes are, and therefore the more smoke the fire is putting out. And the flow aloft is out of the south right now. So the fire smoke's being carried up to the foothill location of King County from like Bering over the Scenic and up to Stevens Pass. And if you're out far east of the Puget Sound, like up towards Darrington, Rockport, Marble Mount, New Halem, for example, you guys could notice some lingering smoke as the smoke gets carried north to your area. Keith says, looks like it's offshore. Let's see how up to date these MEDARs are. 5:53, so we just got an update. It looks like Bellingham's out of the south, which is good. And then the Abbotsford Airport here. This one has a 5 p.m. So that one still needs to update, but that one was out of the southwest direction, which, yeah, Friday Harbor, this one 5:53, winds out of the southwest, gusting to 20 out of the west-northwest at Port Angeles. So our marine push is in fact taken over. Look, now the dew point spread is all the way down to 10 degrees here, 67 over 57 at Shelton, with a gust to 25 out of the southwest. So that is likely to be your saving grace for smoke, at least in the air quality department. Hey, there's Dagmar. I was expecting you. Ooh, yeah. So some of the meteorologists in one of my chats are saying this is already looking like a bust before it even starts. They're saying things like not looking very promising anymore. Models backtrended significantly in the last day. And another one says the system has too much hype and it's likely going to be a bust. So I guess we'll see if that comes to fruition. But like I was saying, I'm guessing a lot of people are looking forward to a bust, judging by the elevated fire conditions and critical fire conditions expected across much of Washington state. So that's why I always clarify to people when I make posts that this could bust. It's always could bust. Dagmar says, what people don't understand is that smoke cools the temps down. We are much cooler in eastern Washington because of the smoke layer. This is absolutely true. Otherwise, we would have been in triple digits today. I'm not sure if I want it to stay, though, Dagmar. Maybe if it stays aloft and not affect the air quality, then we can have kind of a compromise there. But that low-level smoke, no. You can get that low-level smoke far away from eastern Washington. But yeah, smoke kind of acts like a cloud too, and it reflects solar radiation back out into space. So the thicker the smoke, then the lesser the chance of hazardous temperatures there are. Because it'll take a few degrees, even up to 5-6 degrees off of your forecasted highs if the smoke is dense enough. Hey, Jan Chris says, marine flow, no storms. So again, like we saw in July, these are storms of elevated nature. So the convection is going to be taking place thousands and thousands of feet above the ground, not from 2 meters above the ground if it were surface-based. Let's see if I can show you guys an example here. I'm going to pull up a high-res model. Okay, the 0ZH-RRR, which goes out to 48 hours, has started to render, so that is great news. Yeah, it's not quite in range yet. But let's go to the next hour. Let's go to 7 p.m. Let's pull a sounding here from the South Puget Sound. You see 71 degrees at the surface, 58 degree surface dew point. and then a lot of dry air. Like there's some moist air way up in the atmosphere, a good 9,000 meters up there. And then this massive dry slot here in the mid levels of the atmosphere, like bone dry down there. Then we have this surface just above the surface inversion as well, where the temperature is increasing with height. For the best chance of thunderstorms, you want this line to be sloped towards the left as much as possible. And so the convection would take place way up here. But this isn't a good example because we don't have any convection because the white dashed line is all the way to the left of the red solid line. So we go into the future. This should eventually begin to increase the instability. Let's check on that real quick. You see the cloud base, the LCL line has already decreased. The question is, will that white... Yep, see, it's starting there. This is 6Z, so this is 11 p.m. tonight. Start to build a bit of instability here. It's way, way elevated and very low cloud top. So at the moment, this is all the way out to midnight. But the synoptics should get better as we go into the early morning hours. It looked pretty good there for a moment, and then it looked dismal. So, yeah, this is okay, but it's not great. This is probably not a good example showing you guys. But as you can see, from where the LFC line, the yellow LFC, meets this purple EL line, the white dashed line is to the right of this solid red line. That is your area of instability. But you see how far up it is at this point? It's almost 5 kilometers above us. So the air parcel then has to be forced or lifted up to that level with an additional forcing mechanism, such as, for example, solar heating or a trough like we're expected to have. And then it can rise freely on its own to that equilibrium level, or the EL here. Yeah, we have a lot of inhibition here for this potential energy parcel here. 79 joules per kilogram of energy to use with a whopping negative 398 joules per kilogram of inhibition. So the HRRR is definitely backed off as well. And just waiting for some more frames to render here to see if we can get a good idea of what happens tomorrow morning. But the models, not going to lie, yeah, I'm kind of starting to agree with what the other guys are saying. This is looking like kind of a last-minute rug pull kind of event, which is good for a lot of people, but it also sucks as a forecaster because I want to be accurate when it comes to forecasting like this. And the synoptics look really good, but I think what's killing us is our lack of instability. Because our lapse rates, which is the change in temperature with height over a given layer of the atmosphere, not looking too hot right now. And the forecast is also not looking too great. I want to see if I can pull up my meso analysis real quick again and show you guys what I'm talking about at the moment. I gotta kind of zoom in for this one, so hang tight. Zoom in on this window. There we go. Okay, that's as far as I can zoom in without losing the controls up here. And we're going to go to most unstable cape. So we're looking at the red contours here. So the narrow lines, these are where the most unstable cape, or basically elevated potential energy that storms can use, is. So this is anywhere between 100 to 250 joules, 250 to 500, 500 to 1,000, and we even have an area of 2,000 joules of energy up here in the North Cascades. And then we have about 500 joules over here across the Olympics to the Hood Canal area. But what you notice is we have little to no instability at the moment over the Puget Sound. And unfortunately for this one, I can't jump ahead in the forecast. But if we go back in the past, we actually had more instability earlier, a few hours ago, over the Puget Sound area. And that instability has actually started to decrease with time, which is, if you want thunderstorms, is not what you want to see. Hang on, time for a water break. Do have the whole night, anything could change. Exactly, Zach. Jennifer's watching it in her own thunderstorm in Florida. So, and my YouTube tab just crashed. What the heck? Well, is that going to be the theme of tonight's stream? The YouTube chat just keeps crashing again. Will the humidity cause storms? Not exactly. So what really goes on at the surface right now has a little effect at what goes on aloft or in the atmosphere. Mid-level lapse rates. This is between, I believe this is between the 700 and 500 millibar layer. So around 10,000 to 18,000 feet above ground level. 8 degrees Celsius per kilometer. That is pretty good. That is really good. That's mainly over the higher elevations though. But then we start to decrease as we head out west. And so anywhere in here right now is between 7.5 degrees and 8 degrees Celsius per kilometer for your lapse rates. And you want those to be higher, aka steeper, in order to gather some more instability. And then much of the central and north sound here over to the Olympic Peninsula is between 7 and 7.5 degrees. And then down here is 6.5 to 7 degrees, which is not quite ideal. I think if we do have what's called a failure mode, and that is one aspect that really makes this setup bust, I think our failure mode is going to be the lack of instability due to poor mid-level lapse rates over the area. That's going to be my guess right now, because you see, as time goes on, we go 6 hours into the future, and our mid-level lapse rates get more shallow. They're nowhere near as steep. And that's a problem if you want thunderstorms. So we could be discussing a bust right now. Maybe the third time's the charm, the third widespread thunderstorm event that we're expected to get busts, right? Wouldn't that be destiny? Let's go look at our analysis right now. Yeah, 700 millibars. Yeah, those 700 millibar temperatures are a bit too warm. About 10 degrees Celsius at 700 millibars. Yeah, we need to cool that down a bit. We need to move that colder air in the loft to get more instability, but it's not looking like we're going to get that luxury, unfortunately. Anna Rice, thank you for the donation of 200 stars on Facebook. Thank you for your expertise and your time. It's appreciated. Yeah, thank you for the kind words. So, yeah, our temperature profiles not looking that good right now. Go look at 500 millibars or 18,000 feet. Yeah, our 500 millibar temperatures warm up with time also. That's not good. But that shaded contour there is showing where winds are 40 knots or 46 miles per hour or greater at 18,000 feet above ground level, which really helps add to our shear. And this is our bulk shear, or in this case, our deep layer shear between the surface level and 8 kilometers up. And if you have enough shear, you might be able to overcome the lack of instability. It's possible, but still, it's not going to be as effective as having greater instability over greater shear. And that also has decreased a little with time, too. Just in the last couple of hours, the deep layer shear is also decreasing over the area. So it's anywhere between 50 to 60 knots over much of the South Sound and Southwest Interior, and 40 to 50 knots from about SeaTac northward, which is, it's good, but it's not great, again. Sure looks like it's going to rain and thunder for the view of Rainier and Foothills and Buckley. Yeah, if this was surface-based convection, the marine push would be shutting it down right about now. But since it's expected to be like the last 2 events in July where the convection's elevated, what goes on the surface doesn't have much effect at what goes on aloft. Yeah, let's see. Surface-based convection only over the mountains at this moment. There's a little bit over the North Sound and the Northwest Interior, anywhere between like 100 to 500 joules per kilogram, which is decent. But we do have quite a bit of inhibition too, and that's what the blue hatched contours are here. It's inhibition. So when you have that in place, that effectively shuts down or weakens your instability profile from the surface, which is unideal for thunderstorms. Yeah, like Keith said, just saw a post for severe storms in BC. Maybe, but it's still it's marginal. It's marginal, but it's not for sure. If you know what I'm saying. If you know what I'm saying, it's not for sure. How's it looking for Packwood, White Pass area? Yeah, that has a better chance of seeing thunderstorms than the Puget Sound. If we're being brutally honest. What is going on here in the Discord? Huh. Yeah, so meteorologists in the area are already saying to call it a bust. But Michael's also saying Packwood. Hashtag Packwood. A big update just came. They're saying the heat will cause thunderstorms in Puget Sound and BC just now. I'm not sure if I buy that. Mark, what's your source on that? So, unfortunately, as subscribers, you're not able to post links on YouTube. But if you just want to tell me, like, what page on Facebook or what website told you that, so I can go look it up, please do that if you could, because I'm not buying that solution. The temperature dew point spreads are just still too high here at the surface level. So, thank you, Michael, for the donation of 99 stars on Facebook. And thank you, Simpatico Cat, for the $2 super chat on YouTube. Your generosity is much appreciated. Weather Network, huh? Meme. The Weather Network. This is through Yahoo News. Trying to read this article real quick. Is Olympia going to have thunderstorms? Again, not 100% for sure. Nothing is guaranteed in the weather. Although the synopsis looks good for thunderstorms, there are some issues that could cause it to bust. Like I was talking about, the instability, the lack of decent instability, and poor lapse rates or changes of temperature with height. Like right now, the low level lapse rates, you want these to be steep for surface based convection, extremely shallow, 5.5 to 5 degrees Celsius per kilometer in the lowest 3 kilometers. So that's not good for surface based thunderstorm activity. Not seeing anything for the Puget Sound yet on this site. So unless they say it in the video, the heat will build as the ridge of high pressure sits over top of BC. So the big thing you really want for elevated convection is to bring in cooler air aloft. So you want to bring in a colder air mass to the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere to steepen those lapse rates and increase your instability. That's not looking like that's going to be the case, at least initially, from this model run here. Let's just go see just to check it out. Yeah, the HRRR doesn't even fire off the convection over the Puget Sound anymore. It fires it off all the way up north of Everett and completely misses the sound now. Oof, this should be this should be a pretty crazy bust, but unfortunately a bust is looking like the more likely scenario out of this setup. Because if even the HRRR is downtrending this much, like let's go check out some comparisons of model runs for 10 a.m. for example. And you saw even 2 model runs ago at 10 a.m. tomorrow, it had a thunderstorm over Tacoma. In the last 2 model runs, it's gone. We had confidence was lackluster. Like the model-to-model agreement has been lackluster already, but let's go check some of the latest high-resolution models. And again, it's not agreeing from model to model. It's really having a hard time predicting what the radar is going to look like. Again, I got to reiterate that this should not be used as a reliable forecasting tool. Just gives you an idea of when and where storms could form, but not exactly when and where. You know what I mean? It's not, it should. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked by another chat. Hang on, folks. Give me a moment. Also, the sun's really starting to rip through the window now. Yeah, Justin, glad I could help you out. And Michael, thank you again for your generosity. Elevated fire weather conditions for Friday due to low relative humidity and instability. Then an upper level low offshore already observed producing lightning this afternoon. Will track into the region late tonight. Thank you, Keith, for that. Yeah, so this is for 6 o'clock. So we'll get another new update from the RAP analysis. This is the model that they use, the RAP. The RAP analysis here in a little under an hour. So this is all we got to work with right now, but instability is on the decline over the Puget Sound area. It's really struggling at the moment. So I believe that's going to be our failure mode if this setup does not come to fruition. So I was told to start a goal earlier. Let's do a 30. Yeah, let's do this. So I just started a super chat goal here on YouTube. So over the next 30 minutes, let's see if we can get 5 super chats of $10 or more. I will give you a live shout out on stream. Really muggy and Ladysmith. Yeah, if we go back to, I gotta switch some of my tabs around here. Let's go back to observations. Just had them. Okay, there we go. So temperatures are still on the decline, but they're not declining as fast as they would if there wasn't cloud cover overhead. But again, we are starting to bring that marine layer in. So those marine winds are really going to help cool us off, but probably not as quick as they would if there wasn't any cloud cover. Going to Ben's potluck. Absolutely, yes. That's the potluck I was talking about earlier. So I won't be available to live stream tomorrow, I will be live streaming my drive on TikTok though. If you guys want to go find me on TikTok at Puget Sound Stormwatch. It's gonna be a long drive. I gotta run by the store, pick up some food items, and then fill up on gas, and then make the trip up towards Lake Stevens. I was looking at dew points. Yeah. So this is showing dew points above 60 degrees. It's still rather humid down here at the surface right now. Dew points in the low to upper 60s much of the area, and even reportedly a 74, but that might be malfunctioning. Let's make sure I turn on all of the stations so you guys can see. But yeah, we got some areas still of mid to upper 60-degree dew points, so it feels rather balmy out there. And the cloud cover's not helping that whatsoever. Darn. Be back with you guys in just a moment. I gotta respond to this chat real quick. So, yes, I am going to Ben's potluck tomorrow. I'm starting to see some storms flare up over Idaho. It looks like the storm activity over Vancouver Island is starting to slow down a bit. So yeah, here's the center of our trough. Here's the line of moisture. Can we get convection to fire off within this area of moisture? Can we? That's going to be our what if. So, unfortunately, but also fortunately, I'm leaning towards a bust on this. We could still get some thunderstorms west of the Cascades, but it's not looking nearly as good as even earlier today. Look at this. The latest HRRR completely misses the central and south Puget Sound and the southwest interior when it showed, like, even just a couple of model runs ago, it showed widespread shower and thunderstorm activity. See? Look at that. This was 6 model runs ago, so about 6 hours ago. It was showing widespread thunderstorms and showers across the southwest interior. Just in the last 6 hours, the downtrend has been massive. Could the instability arrive after midnight? Yeah, of course. And the instability could still arrive, and this could still overperform. There's so many what ifs right now. All right, Julie Bradford has started the Super Chat challenge with the first $10 Super Chat. Thank you so much, Jaw George T5K, aka Julie Bradford, for the first Super Chat. North Sound will get it this time, Keith says. That's what it's looking like. It's one of two things. It's the instability profile is weakening areas south of the North Sound, or the timing of the short waves going to be off, and it's not going to fire farther south, but it's going to fire farther north. Those are my two logical guesses. Keith says he agrees. Yeah. Coopville, I wouldn't consider that the sound. So you're on Whidbey Island. You're closer to the Salish Sea. So I'd say you're in the Salish Sea area. Yeah, it's still, of course, it tries to fire off thunderstorms over the Strait, the Salish Sea, Island County, San Juan County, primarily areas north of Everett and the mountains. Like this could be a bow echo right there tomorrow morning. Like a long and elongated line of thunderstorms that can produce strong damaging winds. That wouldn't be good for fire activity if that comes to fruition. But yeah, it's looking much less favorable in this run. So don't be surprised if we end up getting a bust out of this. But I think we can take a bust with the fire weather conditions being as elevated as they are. If it goes a bit east of Nanaimo, can't make any guarantees on that. It really, again, it depends on where the moisture, instability, and lift line up just right. And if we have any additional bulk shear to help organize those storms. Because it does, as we go out to Sunday morning, very early Sunday morning, it does show the potential for some thunderstorms in that wraparound moisture when the upper level low gets caught in the jet stream to move into your area. So that's something to watch. But that would be late overnight Saturday into Sunday morning. Yeah. So they do know where the low is going. There's just a lot of questions regarding how unstable the air mass is going to be. And if we look at analysis, if the instability keeps decreasing and the air mass stabilizes, then we're for sure looking at a bust. Maybe not for the mountains or the higher elevations of Vancouver Island. Who sent me a message? Just a reminder. Okay, sweet. Very nice just to see another live, even if it's a bust. Love your lives. Thank you, Kim, for the kind words. Yeah, water break. Right. I need to be better about it because I just start rambling and I just forget to drink water. So and it's hilarious because usually Kim on Facebook is the one to remind me to drink water. Kim Leonard. Yeah, it's gonna be probably another 45 minutes before we get another meso analysis update. So we're just gonna have to put that one on the back burner for now. We looked at climate. Just go back to watch duty, see if we have any new watch duty updates. At least anything critical. Units on scene can handle. This fire is now controlled. Good. Ooh, that's a terrible place for a fire to start. Good thing they got it contained quick before this caused issues around this neighborhood. So that's great news. Drink 3 bottles of water per day. I used to be really good about drinking water. I don't know what happened, but I just kind of fell off. Good thing about this, there at least was an 8-acre vegetation fire northwest of, what is this, Coulee City? Okay, yeah, Coulee City. But it looks like it was already in mop-up from the get-go, so great news there. Yeah, that fire should be under control already. You old incidents, they've downgraded the level 3 evacuations for the Hill Loop fire to level 2s and level 1s on the north side for progress stopped. Border 2 fire still burning red hot up here in the Canada. Then CC Fires putting on a show. That's taken off. Tolo Mountain Fire was activated on watch duty, so people in Chelan County will get notifications on that. Thank you so much, Gina, for the $9.99 super chat. The only problem is I don't know if YouTube's going to count that as part of the challenge because it's 1 cent shy of $10, but it's possible. It is definitely possible. I'm not 100% sure how that works. The Little Giant Fire preliminarily, as of 12 minutes ago. Again, this isn't always 100% accurate because they're using satellite imagery and the thick smoke in the area could obscure the satellite beams. They are estimating the Little Giant Fire perimeter to be 140,379 acres. So we have another fire joining the 140K club. A very poor achievement. It did. The target is 2 out of 5. Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah, that's right. I can see the target. What it doesn't show me is the countdown, though. It doesn't show me the time clock countdown, so I don't know when the challenge is going to end exactly. But yeah, so in order to succeed with this challenge, we need 3 more super chats of $10 or greater, or $9.99 or greater here on YouTube. The 3 Queens, 3,848 acres, only 2% containment, but that was 9 hours ago. And it's very hard to see because of the haze, but this is the Roslyn Ridge camera looking northwest towards the 3 Queens, and you can just barely see. Look at how much thick, dense smoke is being emitted from this fire. Crazy stuff. Yeah, that's the southeast flank of the fire, which continues to push dangerously close towards the Salmon-Lesac area. You got level 1 evacuation notices for upper Salmon-Lesac all the way down to just outside of the Driftwood Acres area, which is actually a cabin right here that I stayed at. Like not a cabin, but an Airbnb or a Verbo that I stayed at back in 2014, 2015 with my family. So that hits a little bit close. Just hope that fire stays far away from Driftwood Acres and surrounding areas. Best case scenario. South frontage fire. So again, from the get-go, contained right outside of George and only around a half acre in size, but contained right off the bat. So that's great news. Outside of that, I'm not seeing much new fire activity today across Washington State. It's this, though. 3 hours ago, Spring Point fire reported on Orcas Island, but it is fully contained. Awesome news. It's this, though. Hopefully that's a refinery or a landfill. I saw some hot spots down here. I'd have to guess that's probably an agricultural burn. It's normally what those are when they're in fields. They're typically prescribed or agricultural burns. Actually, I don't have my next generation fire system, hotspot system on. It's in its experimental phase, but it did a really good job detecting the Sage Creek fire. See, before it was reported to watch duty yesterday. So this was lit up. You can see it a little clearer in here, the more red parallelogram shaped figures right there. You know what I'm talking about. That pinpointed this fire before it was called in to computer-aided dispatch. So that one was a win. He's detecting these hotspots as well. So the system, while it has had a few false positives, does a pretty good job for being in its experimental phase, to be honest. Gonna have to post an update as soon as this live's over, saying, hey guys, don't be surprised if it's a bust. And then I'm gonna have people say, Yep, told you so. Yep, told you so. Either way. Just drop the thunderstorm risk for Nanaimo a bit. That's probably a wise move. I'd say that's probably a wise move. With the way the instability is downtrending, I think they'll probably they might even remove the Puget Sound from the thunderstorm risk entirely in tonight's SPC Outlook update. Check the sea again. Yeah, this is as of 2:48 p.m. So it's going to be a little bit before we get a new updated outlook. But the current outlook for tomorrow does have much of Washington State in a general non-severe thunderstorm risk. Except for like the coast of Pacific County. That's really about it. But I wouldn't be surprised if they removed it for most of Western Washington in the next update. Watch duty is 5 years old. Yeah, I heard about that. Let's back. Let's see. Is this her model done? It's almost done. Yeah, it's very unimpressive the last couple of runs of this model. It could have some wraparound moisture impact some areas around southern Vancouver Island, the Vancouver metro area, and northwest Washington Sunday morning as the back end of that trough ejects out of here. Show you guys again what we're looking at here. So there's the upper level trough cut off from the jet stream. It's slightly negatively tilted in this run, but mostly neutral tilted north to south axis. And then it starts to negatively tilt as it moves up here. And the model run-to-run agreement has been rather spectacular. Like, look at how consistent it's been the last few days. So that's how we know that the upper level trough is going to impact that area at that time. You know, it's going to be in that position at that time at this tilt. So that we know of for sure. Like, that's practically a lock. See, then the backside of the trough ejects through, the flow switches to westerly, and then the upper level trough catches the jet stream and takes a one-way ride out of here. Then it's likely we start to develop this weak to moderate upper level ridge as we go into the beginning of next week. That could warm up the temperatures a bit and turn the flow back offshore. So we may have to watch out for smoke probabilities west of the Cascades, surface level smoke, I should say. And then models are coming into better agreement that we could bring this upper level trough in off the Pacific. One that, in this case, it looks like we have a trough eject out of the Gulf and one out of the Southwest, and then they kind of congeal into one and then rotate through. I don't think that's going to bring much for precipitation, but it'll likely bring... actually, take that back. That would be a strong thunderstorm directly. I remember I covered this earlier, but I completely forgot. The newest European model, the 18Z, is showing a behemoth of a cell at 2 in the morning on... Yeah, 2 in the morning on Thursday. Directly over Island County. Will that happen? I doubt it, because it's still almost 6 days in the future, so a lot could change. But that is a pretty good precipitation signal there. It looks like we bring a cold front through. You can kind of see the little indentation there, the pressure nose, as they call it. My concern is the wind east of the Cascades. Yeah, that wind, it's not going to be any pushover. It's showing gusts 40 plus miles per hour for areas downslope or downstream of some of these mountain gaps. And even a pretty breezy day across the Puget Sound and the Hood Canal as well. But nothing that we're not used to. So the cold front itself should be pretty weak. but it's still going to bring a pretty sizable breeze, maybe a little blustery to the Puget Sound area on the day, Wednesday going into Thursday, as that next system is likely to impact us. So the thunderstorm chance right now for Wednesday into Thursday is low, but it's not completely out of the question. Ashley's just coming in. What we got coming for Chehalis? Well, I'm going to be, if you want thunderstorms, I'm going to be kind of a Debbie Downer for you. The thunderstorm trend is downtrending as of the last few hours. Kind of like it's a last minute rug pull. If you don't want thunderstorms, then I have great news for you. That is downtrending and the chance of fires is decreasing. Chance of any new fire starts. But yeah, that precipitation band looks nowhere near as good as the models showed it for this time. So if that's the case, then it's not looking good for, it's really not looking good for thunderstorms west of the Cascades. If I'm being brutally honest. There's always still hope. There always is. But hope is dwindling as time goes on. But it happens. You can't catch them all. We overperformed twice in July. I guess it's only fitting that the third time around, it happens in August, we bust. I think that's the only thing that makes sense. Still lots of time, though. There's lots of time. So I'm not going to completely dismiss it yet. That would be unwise of me to completely dismiss it. But the probabilities of thunderstorms west of the Cascades are decreasing with time right now. Chance of fires lessening is good, but was looking forward to some thunder or lightning. Yeah, a lot of people have been, and I know I'm going to disappoint a ton of people if this does end up busting. I'm going to have a lot of explaining to do. But it's not my first time being in this kind of situation. You know, a lot of you guys were watching me during the March 26th and Christmas Eve live streams last year when those events ended up busting. Those pluses, for those of you just tuning in, those pluses are lightning strikes being detected by GOES 18 satellite imagery. So we had plenty of mid to upper level moisture over the area, plenty. And this is being transported. You look from the continental view. Yeah, a lot of this is being transported from across the Pacific. I could see it much better in past views. Let's see how far I can go. Yeah, see right there. See, it's like a pseudo Pineapple Express. So then the main feed of moisture starts to cut off get cut off by dry air. And then we're starting to move some monsoonal moisture in as well. Birthday on March 26th. Well, to be fair, we still got thunderstorms, but just not like the gorilla hail and the tornadoes that were predicted. No, that was a monumental bust, like an all-time bust. Okay, so I have to click on the target to see the countdown. So we have a little over 5 minutes. Can we get 3 more YouTube super chats of $9.99 or more? We got 5 minutes left. If not, I'm not going to complain. But the fact that we got 2 is already a W, in my opinion. I think this system out here is going to be the next one to watch, because I have a hunch that this is going to be our Wednesday system coming in. We can kind of, we can zoom out and see this a little better from, look at that thing. Let's look at heights. I think that's actually the remnants of Hurricane Lala. Yeah, it is. So Hurricane Lala, surprisingly, is going to have some influence on our weather. It's going to give a boost to the jet stream. It's going to amplify this ridge over the Gulf of Alaska, and in turn, it's going to dig a deeper trough over the Pacific Northwest, and then also build a ridge over Western Canada too. So it's a cause and effect. Think of the jet stream like a pendulum swinging back and forth between low pressure and high pressure. That's kind of what we're seeing here. You know, we're seeing a key property of fluid dynamics. Trying to just make sure, check my sources, making sure that's not the remnants of the hurricane itself, but I don't think it is. Yeah, that is. But so I did have the right idea. So this is, again, I don't know if it's a tropical storm, depression, or already extratropical, like a post-tropical cyclone. But yeah, this is our system that we're going to be watching for Wednesday and the Thursday. It already looks pretty good on water vapor imagery. It looks pretty darn good. So yeah, the remnants of that hurricane, those are going to catch the jet stream and take a free ride up to the Gulf of Alaska, up towards the Aleutians. Vegetation fire in Tacoma, 72nd. Yeah, Keith, is that going to be put on the computer-aided dispatcher soon? Pulse Point. Yeah, I knew it was on Pulse Point, but I haven't been able to find a desktop application for Pulse Point or a desktop site. Like I see the site, but it always tells me to download the mobile app. Maybe I'm just looking in the wrong spot, but who knows? Maybe I'll figure it out when I least expect it. Yeah, current look at air quality conditions around the area. Seeing some improvement across Whatcom County, but there's still, I don't know how accurate this is because the rest of the stations are already in moderate. And we're seeing yeah. Look at that. I'm going to zoom into this. Okay, zoomed in a little too far, but the air quality index has been declining, which means the air quality is improving quickly. That's good. For the Peaceful Valley area, we are seeing improvement, thankfully. Lightning strike and fire at Port Alberni, Dagmar just told me. Yeah. Watch duty, unfortunately, doesn't cover Canada. Want to see if Radar Scope picked it up. Go look at the Half Moon Peak radar, closest one. The Port Alberni is down. No, actually, it's up here, isn't it? Yeah, there it is. There it is. Let's go back in time and see how recent that was. If that was the lightning strike I saw earlier, right about there, then I would certainly believe that. Okay, so super chat goal ended. We got 2 out of 5 supers, but that was more than I was expecting. So thank you guys so much for your generosity over on YouTube. Yeah. Radar Scope also has a habit of not showing all cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. I didn't even see that one. So Port Alberni's right here. Had a lightning strike up here, a couple of strikes down here that were detected on Radar Scope's lightning detection. This was back at around... Yeah, that was a few hours ago. This was all the way back at 3:34 p.m. Pacific. Makes sense. Gotta keep eyes on this precip line though, because it wasn't showing this line of precip moving up into our area till overnight. So it's something we gotta watch. I'm not overly optimistic at the moment, but it's still something I want to keep tabs on. Yeah, Keith, that was Dagmar Devere on Facebook. A BC fire on my computer. Okay, good to see, Keith. Good to see. But overall, I'm seeing more action from fire smoke on radar than I am actual showers. And that's kind of disappointing. We'll be probably in the next 20 minutes getting a new hourly mesoanalysis scan so we can really see if the instability is decreasing or if it goes back up. Let's go back, make sure I have GOES flashes turned on. And let's make sure doing a frame every 5 minutes. Yeah, you can see how quickly that marine layer is surging in too. As a matter of fact, the marine layer didn't even burn off today for areas west of Elma. And now that marine layer is surging into Shelton and Olympia as well. Look, actually, you could, if you look very closely, you can see a heat signature from the Sage Creek fire, I think it's called. Yeah, Sage Creek fire. This was at 9:11 Zulu or 2:11 a.m. this morning. There was a very small heat signature on shortwave for that fire. But yeah, definitely a marine push because you can see that marine layer surging east. And all of these are mid to high level clouds associated with that subtropical and monsoonal moisture moving in. This would be the main fuel for our storms. This deep moisture. But if we don't have instability for it to take advantage of, even if you have a way to lift it up, if it can't be lifted high enough, we're not going to get thunderstorms. That's just simple. That's just how it is. Think of it like the fire triangle. Heat, fuel, oxygen. You take one of those away, there's no fire. Same exact analogy for thunderstorms. Instability, moisture, lift. Take one of those away, no thunderstorms. That's it. Dunzo. All right. Okay. Keith says he sees a fire on Vancouver Island, but it looks like it's controlled. Let's look at low-level water vapor. Oh, yeah. Nice, thick moisture moving in at the low levels. Still got plenty of time for deeper moisture to work its way in. But once more, if we don't have that instability to take advantage of it, it'll be for nothing. And then upper level water vapor. It was posted 2 hours ago. Okay, thank you, Dagmar. Yeah, that makes sense now. It lines up with what Keith is saying. Just got your photo, Dagmar. I'll check it out real quick. And my messages, pull it up. Fire Port Alberni. Okay. And so someone did have a picture of the fire earlier. For the user's privacy, I'm not going to show the picture because it does include their name in it. But yeah, there was a small smoke plume near Port Alberni a couple of hours ago. So thank you, Dagmar, for clarifying that. I go check to see if we have any new members on the Discord. I figured we probably have a lot of new people tuning in since I last did this checkup. So let's change directions here for a couple of minutes after I drink my water. And yeah, let's go ahead and bring up coffee in Discord again, because it's been a while since I've showed this. But I have this pinned on the YouTube and Facebook comments. If you guys want to check this out, this is the best way you can help support Puget Sound Stormwatch because the funds are instantly accessible. I don't have to wait till the 23rd of the following month to gather said funds. So if you guys want to help support the channel and make live streams like this possible still in the future, please consider a small donation of a coffee. And then also, let me post the link again since it's been a while. We've gotten a lot of comments. The link to my Puget Sound Stormwatch Discord server. You guys want to join that? You can apply through here. Just read the rules and answer 4 short answer questions and you'll be in. Well, after I approve you, that is. So, yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about outside of that. Let's get back to weather. Made it short and snappy. Yeah, our area to watch. We're watching this ridge build over the Aleutian Islands. We're seeing a trough eject out of the Gulf of Alaska, as well as a trough coming out of the Pacific as well. These two are likely expected to converge into one trough and then swing through the area, possibly bring a weak cold front through as well, with the chance of rain and wind west of the Cascades, and overall just really a chance of wind east of the Cascades. It's going to be relatively dry still east of the Cascades, so that's not the signal we wanted to see overall. But you see how former Hurricane Lala had an effect on the jet stream up here? So there's the hurricane way off here, or what was the hurricane at least. And that's going to catch into the upper level jet, and it's going to cause this ridge to amplify, and then cause this trough to dig deeper into the Pacific Northwest and strengthen for a short while before it moves off to the east. And then that, in turn, also causes effects downstream as well. Additional ridging over Canada, and then troughing down in the Great Lakes region also. It's all cause and effect. You know, the jet stream is just one big feedback loop around the planet. Yeah, that's right. We do have the new model runs running. The 0Z cams. So are we far enough in range to see into tomorrow morning yet? Let's find out. Let's go check the NAM 3KM. See, the NAM says we're not completely out of it. The NAM definitely, it's not as scattered or intense as before, but the NAM 3KM model, the one that's being decommissioned the end of this year, still kind of has some hope for us west of the Cascades. This would be around 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. It's also... Ooh, I just got an email from meteorologist Scott Sistek. That's pretty cool. He sent me an email last night because I had made that poll on my Facebook talking about, well, asking if people were seeing all of my posts. Unreal. Scott Sistek just joined the Discord, everybody. Oh, man. So if you guys want a reason to join the Discord now, Scott Sistek, the Como 4 meteorologist, is officially on board. Oh man, that is hype. That just hyped me up big time. What a generational pull that was. Last minute call out for double A on the three queens and or the king fires. Leads and tankers inbound. Thank you for the update. Yeah, Kim, very cool. It's good to have another long-time experienced meteorologist on board. I guess the question is, how active is he going to be? Because it looks like he actually just made this new Discord today. Brian Rock Rail fan, hello there. Welcome aboard. Good Friday evening. Bright, bright. Not Matt, Facebook originally. All right, good. You are in. Huh. Scott's in the voice chat. Interesting. So yeah, let's look at the NAM as it initializes. We're currently out in range to 4 o'clock p.m. at the moment. And sometimes it underdoes convection, sometimes it overdoes it. But the NAM itself has kind of a poor track record. So we have to, be advised of that. So, but, the NAM does still kind of latch on to hope early tomorrow morning. This is around 6 a.m. It does have some shower activity, maybe some cells over the mountains. And then it wants to try to maybe fire off some convection over the South Sound at around 7 a.m. Will this happen like this? Likely not. But it's just, that's why I'm not going to stay on the stream too long. I think we're going to wrap things up around 8 o'clock so I can get sufficient sleep overnight, because I do have that potluck tomorrow at Ben's place, like someone pointed out earlier. So I want to make sure I'm well rested, ready to go, and have a good time there. Does the lower mainland have any chances of thunderstorms from now till Sunday? Yes, absolutely. Even right there at about noon tomorrow, the NAM 3KM model does highlight the lower mainland and the Fraser River Valley for a chance of thunderstorm. So it's definitely in the cards. Or it's in the mix. It's in the mix, I'll say that. Is it for certain? Absolutely not. But it is in the mix. Like we said, only time will tell. Absolutely, Keith. Rolex Boys checking in from the United Kingdom. Awesome. Watching with the boys, longtime viewers. Thank you. Could the thunderstorms overdo? Oh, of course. They could overdo, they could underdo, they could go exactly as modeled. That's exactly what I said during the last 2 thunderstorm streams back in July. That is precisely what I said. Could overperform, perform as modeled, or underperform. Every situation is at play until the event's done. Oh man, that is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Okay, so we're out to 8 p.m. Still does have some thunderstorm activity north of Okanagan County here in BC. Some isolated thunderstorms possible across Okanagan County as well. That we'll have to keep close tabs on. Would be fascinating if the NAM could get a win before it gets decommissioned. I think that would be a like a fair last hurrah, honestly. And it doesn't go overly bullish on thunderstorm activity east of the Cascades either, so I feel like that would be a win-win in my book. Will Cowlitz County get the same thing? In weather, there are no guarantees. But previous models were hinting at some convection firing off over Lewis, Thurston, Grays Harbor, and Pacific counties early tomorrow morning. But not quite down in Cowlitz County. However, you might be surprised. Don't be surprised if you get waken up by a thunderstorm very early in the morning tomorrow. I just gotta put that out there so no one freaks out saying, hey, you didn't predict this. To a degree, I did. Yes. It will be what it will be, but no new fires, please. Very well said, Coney. Tracy's hoping for a good storm in Enumclaw. If we do get a storm, I hope it puts out a fair amount of precipitation. Let's check out the total quantitative precipitation so far on the NAM. Not good. That's not going to cut it. So that's not a good sign. Let's go check the European, check the total precipitation on that. Better, but still not where we needed to be, especially east of the Cascades. Precipitation is expected to be scarce over the next 6 days east of the Cascades. And actually, I should state that most of this precipitation is from Wednesday into Thursday's likely incoming system that could bring a cold front and maybe some showers through. So this is effectively what we're going to see through Sunday into Monday once that system moves out. And over much of the Puget Sound, it has a rather dry signal. So I'm hoping it's enough to snap our dry streak, because so far at SeaTac, in case you guys missed this earlier, we are on a 21-day and counting dry streak. Only a trace of precipitation was recorded on August 1st, and that's not even measurable. We haven't had a single drop of measurable precipitation at SeaTac the entire month so far. And we are now down to the second driest August month to date on record since records began in 1945. Tied with 8 other years. We should be at 0.55 inches of precip in the gauge this year, or this month, I mean. Only a trace. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. That's the wrong tab. All right, do we have a new scan? Yes, we do. And just as I thought, the instability is decreasing over the Olympics and not doing much, if anything, over the Puget Sound. What did happen, though, is the instability is decreasing over a tiny little speck here in British Columbia. Just the tiniest speck. But instability is decreasing over the Olympics, and there's basically no instability over the Puget Sound right now. A little bit over the foothills, but man, that is just, even though I don't want fires, still, a busted forecast is always a heartbreaker for me. Always. Check our lapse rates. Yeah, lapse rates are starting to decrease over Southwest Washington. We went from between 6.5 to 7 to down to 6.5 down here. So lapse rates are also decreasing. Comment was hidden. Yeah, I see why. Because I automatically hide comments that have swear words. Well, Facebook automatically hides it for me. Pretty busy, but just checking in. Is this upcoming lightning across Washington expected to be dry lightning? Most of it, yes. That's why they have these dry lightning outlooks in effect coming up. So this is today's risk. dry lightning across the Olympics all the way over to the Cascades. And then tomorrow's risk is just what I said earlier, is a cluster F. We got 2 areas of critical fire weather risks, widespread elevated, a lot of isolated dry lightning, an overlapping area of, scattered dry lightning. Been around playing the surrounding areas, and it's quite surreal. I can't even imagine. Yeah, you can still barely see the just the clouds of smoke coming off the 3 Queens. See if we have a good view of the little giant that isn't too hazy. It's about the best we can get. And you can see the areas where the hot spots are burning, the little smoke plumes. It's nowhere near as crazy as it was yesterday. Yesterday, I shared that snapshot to my socials. It was absolutely insane what the smoke cloud looked like. The pyrocumulus, as it's properly called. CC fire as of an hour ago is updated to approximately 578.2 acres. So CC fire is back with a vengeance. Yeah, the Stehekin area's got to watch out super closely for this, because if it starts to really make a push east, don't be surprised if you start getting evacuation notices for Stehekin. And remember as well, the only way that I know of in and out of Stehekin is by plane or by boat. I don't know if you can hike out of here down Chelan. Maybe. I think actually you can hike. Yeah, you can hike. There's a trail. Looks like it takes you down towards Manson Lakeshore Trail. You're going to be walking forever. So either by going on foot, by plane, or by boat out of Stehekin. That's what would make an evacuation treacherous for that very small town. Saturday fire weather outlook changed. I'll go refresh it real quick. Did they update it on the SPC? Because still the same on the SPC right now. At least on this site. Let me go to the actual SPC site, verify real quick, before I make an assumption on this. Pacific Crest Trail connects Manson to Leavenworth. Okay, thank you. They're doing fire ops on the end of the fire. Okay. So this is still the effective fire weather outlook that I'm seeing. It says it was issued at 1959 Zulu is 12:59 p.m. So unless it like just came out and the site hasn't refreshed yet, that's all I currently have access to at the moment. It'll probably take a little bit to update if that's the case. Courtney Barge and the Lady of the Lake has 4 boats they have evacuated before. Okay, thank you, Dagmar, for the intel. Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure about that. But it's good to hear that they have a way to evacuate if necessary. That is very reassuring. That is a sigh of relief. Just checking. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, no problem. It's all good. Still very muggy around Puget Sound area. Lots of dew points over 60 degrees. Anything over 60 is considered humid. Or muggy would be the more appropriate term. These are relative humidities. A few areas 70+%. And with that marine push along the coast, the relative humidity is pretty close to 100% out there right now. Yes, Kim, thank you for the reminder to drink. Looking outside my window right now, I can see the sun poking through, and it looks like it kind of has that yellowish tint again. So we're probably dealing with some upper level fire smoke spilling over from the east side at the moment. Was I? There we go. Yeah, not seeing any indications of lightning yet. Yeah, this line that was being forecasted for this time is anemic right now. Very anemic. Hardly even a line. Windy just knocked off the showers in Ladysmith till tomorrow night. Probably for the best. There was a fire that surrounded one of the parts of Stehekin in 2024 if you look at the historic fire map. Let's go historical perimeters. You were not kidding. Pioneer Fire 2024. Dangerously close to Stehekin. Too close for comfort. You called it. Good intel. So they are no strangers to this. Kim says no sun here. Yeah, some areas still in the 80s, but with that marine push working its way in, we're starting to see the temps drop from west to east now. See, the marine push has hit Whidbey Island and Camino Island, areas around the strait, and then down here along the Chehalis River Gap, marine push is working its way into Shelton and Olympia. And even starting to see the temp drop here in Tacoma pretty quick, too, where we're about to fall out of 70. So that's good news. Ooh. Sore, guys. I've been sitting down for a little bit. Might have to get up and take a stretch break before we wind things down. I'm aiming towards about an 8 o'clock wind down time, so can have plenty of time to get ready for the potluck tomorrow. Because they fired off ping pongs and worked the fire all the way to Stehekin. The locals are very savvy now after the Pioneer. Great intel as always, Dagmar. Thank you. All right. They're doing a lot of airdrops on the fires right now per watch duty. Good. They need all the help they can get. An aggressive initial attack on the CC fire using a Type 1 helicopter and Rappler support following a mid-August lightning storm. That was about 9 hours ago. Will weather be dry by the time Longview car cruise happens Saturday evening? It should, yes, it should. Let's check the Euro. It's going to be close because it looks like there's some precip possible in the area early Sunday morning. I think Saturday evening, it looks like right now, Saturday evening, you should be just fine. We're in range on the Rufus, so let's check out the RRFS, aka the Rufus experimental one. It pulled the Rapplers off the CC. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, the Rufus still has a little hope too. This is around 4 a.m. tomorrow, so it's already disagreeing with the NAM 3KM on it. Because this is what the NAM shows at 4 a.m. This is what the HER shows at 4 a.m. This is what the Rufus shows at 4 a.m. So our short-term model agreement is still subpar, which doesn't make things encouraging for a short-term forecast tomorrow. You see, it one thing it does agree with the HRRR on is firing most of the convection north of Everett late tomorrow morning. Actually, all three of the models somewhat agree on that. So we have better agreement later in the morning than we do earlier in the morning. It's quite a bit of discrepancy earlier in the morning because both the NAM and the RRFS would fire some cells and possible thunderstorms off across the Puget Sound area, just at different times of the morning. And I don't plan on being up at 4 in the morning, honestly, to track these storms if they do happen. Yeah, Keith is right. All of those models don't agree. There's a lot of short-range model disagreement. Don't know if you know, but they have numerous Chinook helicopters operating out of the Army Air National Guard from Wenatchee for firefighting purposes. I have seen a few Chinooks, yes. Just, I haven't seen them fighting fires on this side. But over on the east side, yes. I sometimes see Chinooks fly over because of my proximity to JBLM. And we have a lot of C-17s and sometimes some fighter jets that come through. But a lot of C-17s on a daily basis. Yeah, so the trough is becoming more negatively tilted now. It's still kind of got a bit of a neutral tilt, but it'll start to tilt towards the northwest. So it'll get a northwest to southeast axis as it starts to approach closer. And it looks like it's starting to begin that tilting progress. Dagmar says they're on the Sinlahican. Yeah, for a good reason. Sinlahican is the largest fire in Washington state this year so far. But it looks like the Little Giant's going to start playing catch up here. So, because the Little Giant has far less known containment than the Sinlahican. Sounds good, Brian Rock Rail fan. Have a good night, sir. Thank you as always for tuning in. Yeah, I'm going to say about a half hour and then we'll begin the wrap up coverage. I didn't plan on going too long tonight because one, I don't want to plan another all night. I don't want to participate in another all nighter, and two, because I have that potluck tomorrow that I got to be at. And I want to get out of here at a decent time, not only to beat traffic, but to run by the store and fill up on gas before I make that probably hour and a half to 2 hour journey, depending on traffic. Because there are a lot of road closures around the area too. I know that I think 99 near Aurora here in Fremont is closed. I know they have lane reductions along the Ship Canal Bridge on I-5. And then they have parts of 405 southbound shut down near Factoria. And a multitude of events. As always, WashDOT has amazing graphics, hand-drawn graphics, telling you what's going on around the area. So check out the WSDOT Facebook page. Let me actually pull that up now. Just to show you guys. I bet you guys will get a pretty cool laugh out of this. But if you don't follow the WSDOT page, then you're missing out. He says, yes, they do. Yeah, so this is the dealio right here, guys. Yeah, another classic from WashDOT. Look, they got the Mariners moose and they got Jimothy hanging off of it. Jimothy with a baseball cap. So yeah, we got the Mariners in town for, I believe, a 6-game home stretch. Says we got a UW football fan fest and mock game on Saturday. We got single lane closures until Labor Day across the Vantage Bridge. Got a garlic fest down in Centralia, apparently. They've got concerts in the area. I think that's at the White River Amphitheater. Snoqualmie Days, Kirkwood Half Marathon, Gypsy Kings, got a road closure, Washington Highway 160 through October. Yep, First Avenue Bridge closed 5 a.m. Saturday to midnight Monday, basically. Southbound I-405 closed 11:30 p.m. to 4 a.m. Monday. Okay, so I'm guessing that means 11:30 p.m. Sunday, but maybe I'm wrong on that. And then the Revive I-5, northbound I-5, 2 lanes down at the Ship Canal Bridge. And that's going to be the way I'm taking tomorrow. So I'm planning my route extra carefully and leaving well ahead of time just in case. I'm always an early bird by habit. So even if I'm like an hour early, I was told it's perfectly okay. I just want to make sure I get there early. I need to get there early. I do not want to be on time or late, because if you're on time, you are late. Should always be at least 5 minutes early to everything. That's a golden rule that I live by. Alex Mayo says, thank you for your great coverage. Found you and Washington Weather Chasers from the December floods. Thank you for joining along. Yeah. I mean, really, Ben's page, Washington Weather Chasers, since last year, I remember when they were at 87,000 page followers, and now they're over 330,000. So just absolutely incredible growth from Ben and team's page. Ben, Jonathan, and Eric run a really, really great program there. Like one of the best in Washington State and the whole Pacific Northwest. If you guys haven't already checked them out on Facebook and YouTube, go look up Washington Weather Chasers. Huge shout out to Ben and the team. I got a lot of comments and messages to go through after the live is done. Yeah, some of the other weather guys I talked to are pointing out the significant downtrend in the short term. And they also said, and this is a very important point too, I gotta keep saying this. There will likely be more shower and thunderstorm coverage than what the models show. That's what we saw back in July, not once, but twice. It could underperform, it could perform as forecast, or it could overperform for the third time in a row. We don't know until it happens. We really, really don't know until it happens. But yeah, this is the Rufus. The Rufus is like 3 a.m. and then the Nam is around 7. All right, sweet deal. Keith agrees as well. Yeah, in case you guys missed it, this is what the infamous NAM 3KM high-res model shows for showers tomorrow. This shouldn't be used as a serious forecast. Simulating radar is a gamble, to say the least. It almost never lines up exactly with what shows. We can still get an idea of where and when we may have showers and thunderstorms. Just an idea. So, yeah, the NAM 3KM model still hangs on the hope at around 7 a.m. tomorrow. And the Rufus, you have to go all the way back to 3 in the morning to possibly see some activity. But it looks like the window for areas Everett South is very short. That would not be good for the Cascades. Yeah, so for those of you expecting a big storm outbreak, there were red flags from the start. That's why I didn't go like super hype mode on it. But still have to advise you guys that it could bust as well. So that may disappoint some of you, that may relieve some of you who are not a fan of the fire weather, which I can totally agree on that too. I think we can all take a bust once in a while, right? But just as long as it was properly communicated to everybody, then I can consider it a success to a degree. If we're being brutally honest. It's got a message from somebody. Okay. Well, folks, what do you think? I'm thinking about starting to wrap things up here shortly. I think we've pretty much already discussed all that we need to discuss. I guess what we could do is we could compare models in the medium range. Still got a little bit before the new GFS starts running, and we got a few hours before the European starts running. So I think that's what we'll do is we'll just start comparing the deterministic models. Or actually, let's look at the ensembles first. Let's look at the ensemble means and see what they show for these incoming systems. You see really good ensemble member agreement on that system, of course, and then decent agreement on the development of this upper level ridge, but it's likely going to be short-lived before this trough intrudes. And the European ensemble mean has high confidence that we will see a trough come in from the Pacific Wednesday and a Thursday. And a pretty broad trough at that too. This is something to keep our eyes on because that could bring what's called a backdoor cold front to eastern Washington. And it's just it's a bone dry cold front that kicks up the winds and really elevates fire danger. Go see what the AI variant of the European shows. See, really good agreement on this trough, of course, because we're in the very short term. And then good agreement on the ridge building as well, early next week. And then the trough starts to nose its way in Wednesday and the Thursday. But then what happens after that, this is where the members begin to diverge. And as a result, you get more widespread solutions. Some outliers possibly because the models are disagreeing so much, and this does include the outliers. So the confidence after like the first week falls off a cliff. But the AIFS ensemble does signal another trough possibly entering the region as we go into the first day of September, August 31st into September 1st. And if this signal persists, we got to watch this very closely because that could bring yet another elevated fire threat to eastern Washington. And then, of course, our good old pal, the American GEFS ensemble mean. Again, we have very high confidence because all the ensembles show this ridge building Monday and Tuesday north of the area. And then again, this one also shows that trough coming in Wednesday and the Thursday too. And then it also shows the signal for that August 31st, September 1st troughing as well. Really got to watch that one carefully because this one also, the signal looks like it might tap into some more monsoonal moisture. Gotta keep sharp eyes on that. And then, of course, after that, it's a royal toss-up. So, a couple of things to watch coming up in the medium to extended range forecast. We got to watch this upcoming Wednesday, and we got to watch the following Monday and Tuesday. So the next week and a half could be pretty active across the Pacific Northwest. Maybe not thunderstorms, but in terms of fire activity, definitely concerns for elevated to critical fire activity, especially east of the Cascades. Someone said that there's a mid-level cap that's showing up on soundings. I'm gonna have to pull that up real quick. Maybe the new HRRR shows it. We got the 1Z, which goes out to 18 hours. Pull up a sounding and see what this shows. What is going on with the HRRR? Is the HER really back in on it? What in tarnation? This is 7 a.m. Yeah, so just to show you guys, like, look at this. This was the 0Z that we just looked at prior. And this is the 1Z, and it says, we're back. So it's so incredibly inconsistent, and it makes a frustrating forecast for someone like me who's really trying to emphasize the highs and lows of this event. But if we don't know really what's going to happen within hours, like we saw on Christmas Eve last year, for example, it just grinds my gears. I'm not gonna lie. It just really irritates me. I want to be as reliable and accurate as possible, but I know I'm just human, and humans always make mistakes. It's inevitable. So just trying my best here, guys. Really trying to communicate this as carefully as possible. Facebook's stream really slowed down. Oh, yeah. Facebook's calling it a night by the looks of it. Must be the algorithm again. I've been having some serious problems with them. See, meteorologist from the area says forcing is in place, so we got our lift. Wind profiles are good. There's enough instability for at least some thunderstorms, and we got a really good elevated moisture profile. So there's really no reason why we shouldn't at least get a couple of lightning bolts around Western Washington tomorrow. Whew, boy. So yeah, for anyone still tuned in, even if this event busts, we still gotta watch its upcoming Wednesday, Thursday, and the following Monday, Tuesday for additional weather systems that could impact us. A thunderstorm probability right now looks low, but it's not out of the question. I'm more concerned about fire weather conditions east of the Cascades with strong winds and low relative humidities impacting that area. The good news for us on the west side is both those systems could bring precipitation and widespread precipitation at that. But it could also bring some wind with it here too. Not very much, but maybe just barely enough to cause some isolated problems with tree damage and power outages. It's just, we're still not in high-res model range, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But I'll make sure I do another in-depth post for my Facebook subscribers and my premium patrons as well. Because that reminds me, I never put out a subscriber post today. Oops. I really should probably get on that, right? Yeah, it's like the HRRR has this disorganized mesoscale convective system feature, or QLCS. Because you see how it starts as a few cells and then it congeals and moves up into Canada? That's fascinating. That would be interesting to that verify. I'm fired. Yep. I'll take it. I'll take the pink slip. Take the walk of shame right out the door. You can't catch them all. You know, that was the saying when Pokemon Go was huge when it first came out like 10 years ago. You can't catch them all. And I never played Pokemon Go, by the way. I've never been a huge fan of Pokemon. But that's not the point. Anyways. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we covered everything we needed to. I'll take this short time window to answer any questions if you guys have any. So if you have any questions, go ahead, leave them in the comments, both YouTube and Facebook. I'll probably take about 10 minutes or so if you guys would like to leave them. And I'll answer them to the best of my ability. And again, in case you guys are new to the stream, haven't seen before, Puget Sound Stormwatch is on Discord. Let me copy this link one more time in the chat for Facebook and YouTube. So there's the link to apply for the Discord. We just got meteorologist Scott Sistek on board. So that was a huge recruit. And I've got 3 watch duty, technically 4 watch duty reporters as well. One of them's a regional captain. If you guys want fire updates at a timely notice, then you guys can join for that too. And I also have a few meteorologists on board other than Scott that can also help answer your weather questions. So if you guys are interested, the link is in the description. And if you guys want to donate as well, the best way to donate is through Ko-fi, ko-fi.com. The link is pinned on Facebook and YouTube. At least I think it is. It should be, but yeah. Might have just gotten an answer to my question. There we go. So this is an observed sounding from the Quileute Airport on the coast. And we look at the parcel trace here, the red dashed line, and the ambient observed temperature, the red solid line. And there is a mid to upper level capping inversion where the temperature increases that is currently limiting how high the showers can grow to. So we saw something very similar to this on March 26th, and that was the main reason why that event failed for the most part, because of that capping inversion right there. Let's see where my cursor's at. Yeah, so and also the cloud bases are at 1 kilometer, but the convection doesn't start till over 4 kilometers up. It says right here, it says 4,106 meters above the surface at Quileute. So we got some serious inhibition going on. Down here, we got 234 joules of CAPE, but we got negative 312 joules of inhibition. That's not going to get it done, guys. And this is not a forecast. This is observed. This was as of 5 p.m. So the 0Z sounding, which 0 Zulu is equal to -7 hours Pacific time. So that would be 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time this afternoon. So that cap might be our failure mode. Yeah, that's not favorable. There are ways that we can possibly erode this cap, though. And that would be by either increasing the moisture or decreasing the temperature in the atmosphere. So, yeah, because the mid-level lapse rate, the 700 to 500 millibar lapse rate is 7.7, which is decent, but that cap is just killing us. Inversion from the smoke, it's entirely possible. Yeah, but this is a good 9 kilometers up, though. The equilibrium layer where the convection stops is a good 9 kilometers up. So, trying to think of what exactly would cause this. There's likely like a very warm air slot at the 300 millibar level, which is about 30,000 feet. So if we can cool down the air at 30,000 feet, then we can start to overcome this capping inversion. Why is the storm sending bands at BC Vancouver Island? Because that's just where the moisture, instability, and lift line up. We'll have to see tomorrow. Yes, Keith, you are right. I really wish we had a sounding launch area closer to Seattle. The closest ones we have are Quileute and Salem, Oregon. So we don't have a good idea of exactly what's going on over the Puget Sound. You know, the closest that we have to work with is the Quileute coastal sounding. So, yeah, we would either need to increase the saturation mixing ratio, which are these little green dashed lines down here, to move the parcel trace farther right. Or we can also, what we can do is, I believe we can decrease the temperature towards the surface to push this red line farther to the left. Or we can decrease the actually increase the temperature at the surface. Or we can decrease the temperature aloft at about 28 to 30,000 feet to bring more of this red line to the left of the red dash line right here. Because there's a property called the lifted index, and it is the difference in temperature between the red solid line and the red dash line at the 500 millibar level, which is 18,000 feet. That lifted index down here at the most unstable parcel, which is the one we're paying attention to, is -2 degrees, which you want the lifted indices to be negative. Is good, but you want them to be more negative. You want them to be like -5 degrees or lower. Higher, I mean. Higher as in more negative, not closer to 0, if you understand what I'm saying. So, yeah, we could either increase the equilibrium layer or we can decrease the level of free convection. And yeah, we could cool off the air mass at around 10,000 feet to move this red line a little farther. That would lower our level of free convection, but it still wouldn't fix the problem with the cap in the upper levels. That line's going right over Cle Elum to the south. Yeah, it's been a while since we checked the radar, haven't we? Yeah, you're right. Hey, good eye. It doesn't look like it's doing much right now. At least that could also be the radar angle and distance, too. So I bet if I change the tilt of the radar to increase the radar angle, it'll look a little more intense, which it does. At least at tilt 2, it does. Maybe you guys will get a little bit of rain out of this. The air mass is still pretty dry out here. See, like Ellensburg, the Ellensburg airport is 82/52, a 30-degree dew point spread. So you want that spread to be as close to 0 as possible at the surface. But there's very likely there's some dry air aloft that will cause most of this precipitation to evaporate before it hits the ground. I think you would be interested in the new studies that NASA has been doing over the area. Inspire project. Huh. I'll have to look into that, Dagmar, for sure. Kim says, night, Anthony. Have fun this weekend. Good show tonight. Always appreciate it. Thank you, Kim, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Want to say that is Virga. Again, Virga is evaporative cooling. So that is precipitation that is evaporating back into the atmosphere before it makes it to the ground. It also helps to cool the air mass too. And that could also be one of the keys to maybe help increase our instability and decrease that cap a little bit. Because evaporation is an endothermic process. So it ingests heat. It cools the atmosphere around it. It just depends on which level of the atmosphere that is happening. Because, we need it to either cool the air down here a bit towards about 10,000 feet, or we need it to cool the air at around 30,000 feet. And I'd much rather have it cool the air at 30,000 feet so we can get these cloud tops a little bit higher. Any storms that were supposed to fire should have started off surface base. Clearly not going to happen. Elevated stuff late tonight, but it will be where the remnant most unstable cape is, which is where the models are now depicting storms will fire. There's also something over Mount Rainier. Don't know why it's been there a while. If you're talking about this radar fragment, that is the mountain itself. That's not a shower. These are terrain features that the beam is intercepting. So the radar beam is confused. It looks into the showers and clouds, yes, but sometimes it runs into terrain features like Mount Rainier that reflect it back to the radar, and the radar thinks that is increased reflectivity. But it's actually a false positive because it's a mountain. So it's not a shower. It's just the top of Mount Rainier being caught with the radar beam. Hey there, ETG Vortex. Unfortunately, oh, there we go. I had to highlight your message. It wasn't showing. Yo. Okay, sweet. Times the main show is supposed to be at. If there's even a main show, it'll likely be in the morning around the time the sun rises, maybe earlier. See if we have our new 2Z run yet. It's just starting, I think. Yeah, it's about 3 hours in. So we won't have a good idea until this renders more. But let's look at the previous 1Z HRRR model run real quick. This one wants to bring that line over central Washington, Ellensburg, Wenatchee, up to Okanagan County, and intensify it a bit early in the morning. Then the new HRRR wants to fire off some of these cells down here in the South Sound, but in the previous run, it wasn't showing that. So it keeps much of the convection north of Everett. And then it looks like the best chance of any thunderstorm activity is going to be along the North Cascades, into the BC lower mainland, all the way over the Northeast Washington. The very interesting looking QLCS feature here, quasi-lateral convective system, or just an elongated, sort of disorganized line of congealed storms moving up into Canada. And then maybe some more discrete activity over San Juan County in the Northwest Interior going into later tomorrow morning too. But that's as far as this model runs. Still quite a bit of disagreement in the short term with the models, but that's to be expected. So just something we got to watch carefully. And I plan to be up at least a little bit early, probably like maybe 5 or 6 in the morning, but I'm not going to stay up all night. Oh, wow. There's a really cool yellow tint outside right now. Must be the clouds overlapping with the elevated smoke, if there is any out there. Whew, boy. All right, guys, it's 8 o'clock. What do you say we start to wind things down for the night? Don't think I saw any additional last minute questions, so yeah, we're gonna wrap up our coverage. I'm not sure if I'm going to have an early morning live stream or not. It's gonna depend on the shower coverage when I wake up, because I want to be out of here by about 10 a.m. to go do some shopping, fill up some gas, and head up to that potluck in Lake Stevens. If it wasn't for that potluck tomorrow, I would definitely stream tomorrow morning. Oh, sorry. Jeez. Clumsy. Definitely stream a little bit later tomorrow morning, probably through a good chunk of the afternoon too, or our northern comrades, if you know what I'm saying. But that potluck's there. It was planned months in advance, and it just happens to line up with this event. So it is what it is. But if you guys want to join me on TikTok, my @ is Puget Sound Stormwatch. I'll be live streaming the drive from Tacoma to Lake Stevens tomorrow. So, you guys want another little live stream to chat with me about, or to chat with me, then head over to TikTok and follow Puget Sound Stormwatch. Keith says, yes, let's do it. Storm clouds over the strait just south of Ladysmith. Billy Nate says, yeah, seen that also. Keith says, yes, let's do it. When you have time, tag you in the post I made several days ago, and it has the link. I haven't gotten the tag notification. So, Dagmar, if you could DM me that post, that would be great. Please and thanks. Sad now they're saying slight chance of rain in Maple Valley. I really want rain. Yeah, it's crazy just how much things downtrended even since the beginning of the stream. Just a big rug pull for a lot of people. But it is what it is. Sometimes it happens. And it's my job as a forecaster to communicate that to all of you guys. But I'll be sure to make a pretty detailed post as well tonight to post to all my socials. So no one comes after my head to put it on the mantle tomorrow morning if it doesn't happen. Yeah, Keith, thank you again as well for tuning in. Much appreciated. So, guys, going to wrap things up for the night. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for the likes, the comments, follows, subscribers, the gifts. I mean, you guys really showed out with the gifts today, especially on Facebook. You guys sent a crazy amount of stars. Thank you guys so much for that. It's much appreciated. Like, really, you guys have no idea. And if Julie Bradford's still in the chat, I mean, she was the MVP of the last stream, sending a $20 super chat and 30 gifted memberships. So last time I also did an after hours membership stream on YouTube for YouTube members. I'm not going to do that this time around, just because I want to wind down at a good time, if you guys know what I'm saying. So I'm not going to do an after hours stream this time around, but maybe next time, if we have some weather coming up, I'll do an informational live stream a couple of days ahead of time. And then, okay, Julia's here. You need to just do the great job you're doing. Yeah, of course. And I will make sure that doesn't change. You know, I won't let the fame get to my head, or, you know, start begging for money or things like that. It'll just come as it comes. But it's important to always stay humble and open-minded. My advice to all of you guys watching right now: stay humble, be open-minded, cut the stubbornness. That's it from me, folks. Oh, we have a couple new members joining here on Discord. Let me approve those real quick. YouTube. Jackson friends watching the video for the Discord server. Okay. Yes, I'm subscribed. Okay. Awesome. So Jackson friends, will be sure to put you in as a supporter on the server. Hope storms here in Maple Valley. We'll see. We will just have to see. Will things line up in our favor? Will we erode that upper level capping inversion? We'll just have to see when it happens. Okay, folks, this is and was Anthony with Puget Sound Stormwatch here on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you guys for tuning in again for live stream coverage regarding what might be a bust of a storm event. Not for sure, but might be. Appreciate all of you guys for everything that you have done to help out the stream. And with that, I will say good night, and let's see what we wake up to.